funny how things change? For instance, I'm wearing double denim, and it wasn't that long ago that that would have been considered a fashion faux pas. Now admittedly, I'm not doing the look that much justice, but here's my point. Just like the fashion industry, the motor trade have trends that move on, they have tastes that change, they also have rules that are there to be broken. And this Seat Leon F4 is one of those rule breakers. Traditionally, hot hatches were small, nimble, agile, petrol-powered cars. The notion of a fast diesel hatchback was, well, something of an oxymoron. But petrol hot hatches are about as popular as the water tax at the moment, and that means that this little Seat Leon F4 with a really powerful diesel engine could just appeal to the kind of person who really does want a Golf GTI, but would spend more time worrying about how much it's going to cost them to fill the tank and how often they were going to do it, rather than how much fun they were going to have in the car. There were actually attempts to make fast diesels in the past. Volkswagen had a Mark IV GT TDI with 150 brake horsepower. It was nowhere near as good to drive as the 180 brake horsepower petrol version, but still it was a pretty fast car in its own right. The only thing was, the engine sounded very agricultural once you got it up through the revs. The current crop of GTDs from Volkswagen is absolutely brilliant. Now they are, unfortunately, a little bit more expensive than this Leon. How much more expensive? 8,000 euros. Yep, 8,000 euros. 29,000 euros for the Leon F4, 37,000 euros for the GTD, for a car that is pretty much mechanically the exact same. I don't know if I could square that circle. I'm not that big an advocate for synthetic engine noises. I actually think it's the work of the devil, to be honest. That's where they manufacture a fake sound to come into the cabin, either because the engine is too quiet because they've had to strangle it to conform to emissions regulations, or because the engine just doesn't sound very good. I suspect, say its engineers, or enjoyneers as they call them, have done something quite clever and actually pretty forgivable in this Leon F4, because the sound isn't actually that bad when you get it up through the revs. Now, it's a very powerful 2-litre diesel 184 brake horsepower engine, and in order to get the 380 newton meters of torque that it has, you have to be between 3,500 and 4,500 revs. Usually in a diesel engine, that sounds god-awful. In this one, it sounds like this. That's pretty bloody good if you ask me, and the handling, well, it is absolutely sublime. It's one of my favourite cars to throw into bends, and it's all thanks to its magnificent Mqb chassis. Now, Mqb is an acronym for a German word for which I have absolutely no hope whatsoever of being able to pronounce, but I do know what it does. It makes this car 90 kilos lighter than the old Leon. It gives you more space on the inside, but it doesn't actually make the car any bigger from the outside. Its physical footprint hasn't increased. It's absolutely fantastic. And then when you stop driving it very quickly, you take it through a town and everything just settles down and it's nice and easy to drive. It's very sedate. The clutch is light, the steering is light. And while I would like a weightier steering when I'm driving the car quickly, most of the time I'm not going to be driving it all that fast. I'm going to be driving it kind of regular speeds and coming through towns, and that's where you want nice and easy steering. An easy life in a car is a happy life. Strangely, the only downfall that I can see with the Leon F4 is its interior. It is, if anything, a touch bland. Everything is there that you'd recognise in a Volkswagen Golf, but it needs to be broken up with more colour. But here's the thing, a few years ago nobody was really thinking about fast diesel hatchbacks, and yet I bet if you drive the Seat Leon F4, you won't be able to stop talking about it.